Hello everyone, friends. You are on the Pro Blockchain channel. Maxim and 𝗗𝗓𝗦𝗓 are with you. We continue our series of podcasts. The podcasts are designed to tell you interesting things happening in crypto, help you preserve your funds, and maybe even increase them. We invite people from various cryptocurrency industries, project founders, and talk about DeFi and trading in general. We try to cover all aspects of cryptocurrencies to make it as interesting as possible for you. Naturally, you need to subscribe to the channel and like the video because it's very important for YouTube. And today we have a very interesting guest who in this project actually had some of the top tier referrals. We brought the most people to this wallet at the time. It was called Hot Wallet. You all remember we talked a lot about it. And today we have Peter as our guest, the creator of the Near Wallet, Here Wallet, and Hot Coin Services. Very cool.
Here Wallet would definitely say so.
Yes.
The names are like
Peter, hello. Slava, hello.
Hi.
Yes. Well, you're very modest. Hello, you've actually done something really cool. Let's start with how you got into cryptocurrencies. Why did you start doing what you're doing now?
Well, we started 3 years ago. Before that, I had an AI company during COVID. 3 years ago, it was growing very rapidly. There was a boom in 2021, 2022. I stumbled upon Near completely by chance. And at that time, Near as an ecosystem was growing. Near was really short of wallets. And we started by creating a mobile wallet for Near. And actually 2 or 3 months after we started working on the wallet, the boom ended. And for the next year, we just kept developing the wallet for Near until the end of 2023, when we started launching the story with Hot. So in the last year, or even a bit more, the team has grown significantly. We are engaged in creating many products. First and foremost, there's the Telegram wallet that you mentioned. Since yesterday, we have a browser extension. And 6 months ago, we created a protocol team. We started developing many products on top of this protocol. These include bridges, gases, and fuels, and various airdrops. And we have entered a major phase where we integrate various infrastructure for different blockchains. So now it's practically Hot is our front-facing product, and the main thing we are building is under protocols and various products around it to make blockchains chain abstracted. That's it, very briefly.
Cool. I have a question right away. At one time, you attracted a large number of users through gamification. That is, it was, let me remember. These were different villages like settlements, right? And each influencer could, we were doing it from the very beginning. Back then, there weren't even these settlements. At first, it was just about inviting referrals. Then you created these settlements. We created settlements. Now, I think I've successfully lost the seed phrase for that wallet, where there are a lot of referrals, but it doesn't matter. We'll try to find it. How do you attract new users now? How is it? Is it still your cool tool for attracting users?
It worked quite well, probably until the end of October last year, when 𝗗𝗏𝗧 was launched, and there was just a peak. We had 15 million Maslax users there, and 𝗗𝗏𝗧s, by the way, were partially claimed through Hot Wallet if you were on eBay. But lately, especially after the new year, when a bunch of Twitch and Telegram came, the listings have been very weak. That is, the effect of the referral system has significantly decreased in terms of growth among regular users. And now, the main way we are growing is when we do various joint missions with projects. When we launch support for different blockchains, and this is more specific growth. So at certain times, we even grow more noticeably in terms of the number of users, balances, and turnover. But these numbers are much smaller compared to when people just start tapping by the millions. That kind of thing is not happening right now. But the growth in terms of crypto users is mainly associated with partnerships, with the missions we undertake, or with a blockchain that has certain projects and applications on it. Some of them add hot wallet to log in through it. And in this way, our growth occurs very naturally. But we have never bought and are not currently buying traffic. That is, in fact, simply because these people just share. People come through.
And tell me, please, when users were attracted at some point, I just want to know, I can't access the wallet, unfortunately. Did these points give anything to people? The fact that a large number of people were invited, these points were...
Well, there were 6 quite large projects over the past year where people could stake, for example, their hot coins in a pool. And for instance, we launched some meme coins, or meme coins came to us. They received an allocation, a portion of the HOTs you contributed. That's it. And there were stories, depending on what was written, where people could pull out $300 to $400 from staking their meme coins there. That's the main story for now. Plus, hot coins, while hot itself is not yet launched, are not being traded. So the main utility is still ahead for most probably users of our community.
So these HOTs, which we kind of, I think I remember the seed phrase. Guys, I'm on fire. It's coming together. I went somewhere. I'll find everything now. It's going to be great. You see, guys, I have 103,500 HOTs in my balance.
That's a lot. That's a lot. Right now, it supports all signatures. He has 500,000 in balance.
Well, just so you understand, you get it, right? The work we've done. I'm telling you, honestly.
That's how we met. Indeed, right?
Here are 103,509 hot tokens. And what do I do with them? What do I do with them? How do I get rich?
Well, do you know about airdrops?
No.
Look,
See how very serious we are?
How people are doing it now, what they do with their token. We added a feature 10 minutes ago that allows you to distribute tokens to your community. There are limits, no more than 0 to 25 tokens per user. And you can give them out for subscribing to your social media, clicking your link, holding your token, making swaps. For example, with a password, they watched a YouTube video and entered the password. You come up with a password, love the move and beyond. And it's a very powerful tool. That is, if an influencer, for example, does an advertisement and mentions a small airdrop for clicking, then out of 500 subscribers, the channel he advertised can easily grow to 5,000 to 7,000. So it's a very powerful tool, especially if you have so many HOTs. You can do such things. So, and plus, again, it really depends on the market. But back when it was the era of meme coins, there were projects that said, if you hold, for example, our token for a certain amount during the snapshot, you can claim 1 HOT from our village balance. And, well, it worked. People were really actively participating in it. And
we have Village. The name slipped my mind, unfortunately. Village, but because I logged out. We have 11,481 people.
Well, now imagine if you can, with Village, it's the same. You can do a fair drop from the Village balance. In fact, the Village balance was invented for this purpose.
29,000 in the Village balance. We have another 29,000 in the Village.
Right. Initially, the Village balance was invented so that you distribute these tokens back to the community for some activity, like, for example. So now you can insert a link to someone else's mini app, for example, to a game that you think for some reason you want to support with a referral link. And people, before claiming a move, will enter this game. And you will have thousands of referrals because people's first entry into this project, which you believe you want to develop, will be precisely through the link from your fair drop.
Very interesting.
And yes. So if you will need to figure it out. Yes. Well, again, this is currently a very powerful tool in terms of, that is, views, subscriptions, views leading to app transitions. This story, when a person receives 0.1 move or 0.25 moves in the background for this, well, the motivation is much greater. There is many channels that have constantly latched onto this fair drop, and they just write something at the bottom of each post, fair drop for subscribers, for a small amount. But this greatly increases people, especially.
Does it work well, specifically within Telegram, or can it be cross-platform? For example, posting something on Twitter with a link, you don't know?
Of course, you can post a link on Twitter feed, but within Telegram, well, many people know about fair drops, and for them, it's like they already have some understanding of fair drops. They know what to do. They kind of understand what will happen. Plus, Twitter is starting to promote links a little less effectively. That is, in Telegram, you can add buttons, you can add hyperlinks. You can, well, it's very cross-platform friendly in Telegram. It depends on how familiar your Twitter audience is with fair drops and HOTs, because Twitter doesn't present this very nicely. So if you have a specific hot product on Twitter, or at least many users subscribe to the hot there, it might work. But mainly, it's still a tool for Telegram. We have had an extension since yesterday. That's actually why I was a bit late for the podcast, because our extension launched yesterday, and soon there will be fair drops on the web. So if a user opens from Twitter on their computer and gets a recommendation to install the extension, they install it, and then the fair drop appears for them.
So is this extension like MetaMask, roughly speaking, that kind of thing?
It's an extension like MetaMask, yes.
Well, that's cool. Awesome. Well,
we were only on Telegram for more than a year. That is, all the history, all the blockchains we added were only on Telegram. And so this is our first step to being cross-platform, and this is an extension that supports Tron, Ton, Solana, Mir connectors on all these sites. That is, we are an absolutely ultimate solution, which now...
Is it related to the fact that Telegram was introducing some restrictions, like anything not related to the Ton blockchain? They would either remove, block, or deprioritize, and you decided to launch an extension just in case. Is there...
Not just in case. We have a chat in Telegram, and they were forwarding some of our posts where we highlight other blockchains, saying that we are walking on the edge. So again, the token is minted on Near. So we have a lot of users, multi-chain users. Our main revenue, if we don't consider the future launch of HOT, is currently for B2B integration, and it's extremely critical for us to have the ability to work with both multi-chain projects. The solution was essentially the idea that there is Oval for Ton, and we are here to be a multi-chain wallet. So that was the main reason. After that, for 2 months, our primary focus was to launch on the web and ensure that, like a pop song, everything wouldn't just collapse on us in one day.
I see. Let's quickly go back to the application. I just understand that people might find it, interesting. So am I understanding these tokens correctly? Firstly, they are still, or as I'm showing, they are still being farmed here. So once a day, as I understand, like usual, it's probably generally accepted. Yes, once a day, everything is maximally improved. Yes, we have these tokens at the maximum level. Well, of course, people receive very few of them. But is there at least a plan for these tokens to take some form, of an asset that is actually traded and has value?
Yes. Well, there is a plan. These tokens are already being mined on a smart contract within the Mir blockchain. Every time you press claim, a real transaction occurs, which is actually in the contract, from which you can later claim your balance during the ETG, increasing your allocation. That's it. And plus, the HOT protocol that we are developing already uses these tokens to provide you with on-chain bandwidth for signatures. So there is a certain plan in place. But regarding the timing and everything, there have been several instances where we were significantly mistaken with our plans and the situation as it developed. So therefore, well, it's clear now that there are very poor launches within Telegram, and probably we are not actively considering following in the footsteps of MHA, as they managed to follow in the footsteps, well, of Pixel. Currently, there is generally no impression that the audience within Telegram is sufficiently interested in launching new projects internally to actively support it. And, well, we need to complete several major milestones. This is an extension. It's related to the fact that now mining will increasingly shift towards using the extension. And for that, you also receive HOTS to balance the proportion. So the ultimate goal everyone wants to reach is, of course, well, the KGE token launch. And we're building a lot around that. But again, the platform and timing are super important. If choosing between launching in X months on a good market and just formally launching, like, well, there are many projects on Telegram that launched in a terrible market just because they had to. 3 months passed, their mining is the main utility of the application. And, well, the result is quite dismal. No one, neither the users nor the teams, profited from it. So, well, it's very sad. So, there is a plan to launch. There is a plan to launch as a protocol product, as a multi-platform one, with, of course, a large audience on Telegram, but not specific to Telegram, to launch on exchanges actively, possibly on many blockchains at once, since we have Omni tokens to do this. So, yes.
And another question, then how many users do you currently have in the wallet if this is public information? You just mentioned that with these tokens, you can do things like drops for completing, well, like subscribe to a Telegram channel and get a drop, right? How many users do you have exactly? I understand that there are many, but specifically, how many active users do you have who log in at least once a week?
Well, once a week, it's about 1.6 or 7 million. That's it. You can sometimes see them further, because if they claim and have a small balance of near, they claim on-chain, and you can see there from 1.5 to about 1.8 million people who make transactions on the near blockchain every month. That's it. Meanwhile, our audience has become very compact. That is, overall, our DAU is very close to our MAU right now. And there are people who have been mining for a year and have started using the wallet for many tasks. And this group of people is very, very active. Meanwhile, since the growth is small, the difference between DAU and MAU is getting smaller and smaller. Right. But in total, we have more than 30 million people who have started mining. So if a person potentially exits, they can claim. But the core audience is about 1.5 million people who are actively doing something. Okay.
You have a burn tab. Here I see,
yes,
when you go into it, you can, for example, stake near, as I understand. The validator gets 8.9% annually in near, 7% in Solana, 3.7 in Ton. And then there are things like Frax at 7, USDT at 7.59. It turns out, in my opinion, to be a collaboration with some rare finance. Well, as I understand, you use...
Yes. Well, it's a lending protocol. We just supply liquidity there.
So it turns out, using this wallet, if you have nears, you can store them here. As I understand, it's a non-custodial wallet, if we tell everyone.
Yes.
Seed phrase, because as I remembered the seed phrase, now I'll reveal a secret. Friends, I have this wallet in Telegram, but I'm already a savvy crypto enthusiast. Back in the day, I downloaded the app on my iPhone and restored it using the same seed phrase. I just opened the app on my iPhone, copied the seed phrase from there, and pasted it. And I can also now add the extension, by the way, in Google, and it's very convenient. In short, it turns out that here you can farm. What other interesting features are there for wallet users? What else can they do that's interesting?
They can bridge between any networks without fees. Do you have a little money? Try bridging, for example, to Base with USDT or USDC, and you'll immediately unlock two of the most popular features in the wallet. The first is gas refuel, meaning you can complete transactions on the blockchain even if you don't have money there. That's it. And the second is bridging without fees. That is to say,
Interesting.
That is to say, you bridge their 0 up to the 5th decimal of Ether. Exactly that amount will arrive. 1-to-1, the number of tokens won't change. We have incentives for liquidity providers to cover this. That's it. And now, with the release of the backstanchion, it might become much more expensive to do. I don't know how long it will last, but right now, and for more than half a year, you have completely free bridges. That's it. Again, the gas refuel feature is very popular, especially when we are onboarding new networks. You make the first transaction and a prompt appears, like top up the starting balance from your USDC on Near. And you do it. We buy everything under the hood for you and send it to the bridge. You receive the native token and you can use it.
Well, I'm not trying to bridge right now at this moment, but I see that when sending 1 USDC from Near to Base, I will receive 1 USDC.
Yes.
I usually just use bridges. Do you have any limits on the amount for a single transfer?
Yes. $5,000.
$5,000 is still quite a bit because I used a bridge just the other day. There was a limit of $1,000 and they charged a $30 fee for each transfer.
Our limits are precisely because we don't charge any fees at all. Obviously, liquidity providers need to be incentivized. If we set too high limits, there will constantly be an imbalance in the bridge because either we'll have to spend a lot on incentives. This is
About liquidity, yes. About hamsters, it's interesting. We really love hamsters. But let's say about whales. For example, those who have liquidity want to earn somehow, much will not just be happy for free, clap and rub their fur brush about free transfers. How can whales earn? Come with $1 million? Tell us, how can they use your ecosystem? What's available there now? You mentioned incentives. What kind?
Well, we have incentives with the liquidity provider. That is, you just need to contact us and we will help bring in liquidity. And currently, this mainly happens not through an open platform. We simply personally contact liquidity providers to support them and offer incentives in tokens, because in the future, if they find it interesting to receive a part of the project's tokens, they can support this with tokens, or we usually pay a fixed amount in Near tokens as incentives. That's it. Plus, if you work on it, there are MPS wallets. AMPS wallets are very specific for us, because in the future, you will be able to confirm everything you have signed. If you want, of course, to disclose it through your MPS wallet. In this way, you can sell your wallet. That is, if you have generated a huge turnover on some protocol that can satisfy you. In the future, you can sell your VM wallet. No one will be able to externally track this transaction. So you are essentially selling the right to access this private key and proving that you made exactly such and such transactions. And there is no approval that you did not send to the network. And in this way, a large number of accounts appear. Plus, again, if this is associated with some community or projects, there are many opportunities because it's a relatively cheap audience for the incentives you provide them. But the main thing now is probably either to contact us directly, the liquidity provider in DeFi that we are building, bridges there, in some cases gas refuel. Recently, we have a rather big story where the Stellar Foundation will provide liquidity on our bridge on their side, and for incentives, including incentives in tokens. This is probably the most straightforward way at the moment. Plus, there is an extension since yesterday. In the extension, you can simply use the wallet, and it integrates a bunch of various ION protocols. You can stake through us, but probably if you are a whale, then...
Again, there's some activity through the wallets. And here I see Aurora is also present. It's still alive. I remember Max and I also provided liquidity to Aurora. We are fans of adding liquidity there. And in
Resolaris and everywhere else. Well, and in it, something is being discussed. In short, yes, but this is Aurora and Vemta on the surface. Are they even alive there? What's happening with them? How is the Aurora blockchain now? They moved to virtual networks, launched TurboChain, but the team is alive. They are now working on near attempts, meaning we will have omnibalance, HODs and swaps on omnibalance through a protocol that deals with gathering and collecting. Yes, yes, yes. Plus, they are making many improvements within near. The team remains, but as a product, Aurora is currently in a sort of hibernation. They support a lot within near. For example, they support Mytic, like the Rumble Bridge, which is the main one, including hosting one of the validators of the HODL protocol.
Today, we literally read the news about Solana. There's Polymarket, which has really taken off during the elections. It was initially on Polygon, where USDC was deposited, and now they are adding it to Solana. You can directly deposit into Solana, and it seems they are betting on the fact that on Solana, there are a lot of Degans and meme coin enthusiasts who will be betting on Polymarket. But you've done so much work, but I don't see you intersecting much with Solana anywhere. Perhaps you're wary of their proof of history or some crazy consensus, but nevertheless, with what's been happening recently, don't you think it might have been more effective to spend time on some Solana protocol where there's more activity? For example, they launched something on Pomfan, Lotus, like PomfSwap, Mariswas, and they racked up 1 or 2 billion transactions or volume in just a week, and the protocol earned $1 million. Before that, they were already earning something. So in total, I think just on PomfSwap, they've already earned over $2 million in a go, and you've done so much. And what about the financial aspect? Do you see any prospects? Tell us a bit about this, because indirectly, if you see meaning in it, in Near, in HODL, or somewhere else, when the alt season comes, what projects should those listening to us now pay attention to, which are presented on this slide? Tell us where you think, which altcoins might take off during the alt season if it happens.
There were 2 questions. First, we support Solana. Let me remind you that we support staking in Solana. We have added quite robust support in Solana. And in the summer, we had many collaborations with meme coins that distributed airdrops to users, including those who stake tokens. Consequently, we were on Solana, but the question is somewhat different. Firstly, the Telegram audience is far from decentralization. If you look at how various pump and dump schemes were launched within Telegram, it's a completely different culture among people, specifically in terms of trading and behavior in crypto. And Solana, the main turnover, is formed by a very small number of relatively few people who use Phantom, who are fully Solana specific. And the people who make a large turnover, $1 billion turnover on Solana, they will not go to use a Telegram wallet. All of these are completely non-overlapping audiences. That is, we can come to Solana, but that doesn't mean it will bring any kind of success. We do not compete in density. But as for the niche that we have found for ourselves so far, it turned out to be much easier than last year, as there are many tier 2 projects there, which are there and there, which are there, 𝗗𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥. Tier 1 projects, but with a ranking system, for example, like Stellar, for which there is great interest in what Telegram brings, for which there is great interest in creating missions, incentives to engage users, giving small amounts of money for them to start and own reserve. Plus, on this ecosystem, we connect a project. there are also 10 small projects that want to earn from our file drops, which want to connect their own activities. In fact, from the financial perspective, considering the specifics of the startup, considering the specifics of 800, as they kind of, Telegram users there have an average balance of $20, and it's precisely about what you do in a B2B product. What you want is for blockchains to get involved. The idea is for users to rely on some of your infrastructure, so they pay for integration, so they cover practical marketing, because they provide quite significant incentives for users. And these are exactly the projects that you have seen. These are precisely the projects that are at an earlier stage or are already small. For example, our collaboration with Graph, this is the marketplace from DWF. We gained more than 4 million users through the collaboration with Graph from the fact that they allowed incentives for user growth. For example, 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥, where we ourselves launched a token in the outbox, also which at its peak reached 300 million. And, you know, if we ever worked with Jupiter, there is absolutely no such level of partnership. There is Connect. So the guys there have a list of 100 projects that want to work with Jupiter. And somewhere there is Telegram at level 50 and at level 55. There are also wallets inside Telegram. And with projects there at an earlier stage, we are the #1 partner. And thanks to this, we create very cool joint stories. Perhaps with the release of the extension, things will start to change. But with so far.
Well, look, we have, okay, I got it. In short, we also have a DAO, which is kind of ancient. Well, you saw that we generally have a lot of people, right? So we kind of reached a peak, gathered people, and there's some sort of village, someone lives there, and there are some tokens there. And in general, our DAO also has a token. It exists on the Polygon network. We also launched it there at one time. It was cool when all these various protocols like Balancer and others were working, right? We used Balancer there wrapped in Copper, a protocol called Copper, and it kind of used Balancer under the hood, and you could do sales, community sales, community sell through these various things where your price is, you know, an interesting curve. They buy, it goes up, but they don't buy for a while. It starts to fall, then again. So different things like that. And we also have a community in this token. It's still being traded with about 20,000 holders. And is it possible then to take this token with you and carry out some kind of initiative so that our community, which holds, for example, the DAO token, we could distribute to them as you mentioned, right? Also exchange your token for some activities. So they come to you and someone from you comes to us. So like to exchange, as you said, GraphIndex, 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗠𝗘𝗥, come up with some kind of collaboration. And it would be cool for you to get some active users from us, and it would be great for us. So some kind of activity will start. We were thinking of launching, we have a fund in these tokens in our DAO, specifically allocated for marketing and community growth. And we can, in principle, take it and do something like before. Remember, there were liquidity mining and various such things. For example, for a quarter or half a year, come up with such a collaboration with you, 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗖𝗟𝗔𝗜𝗍𝗑. This can probably be discussed separately, right?
Yes, we can discuss it separately. We had some really great stories when it worked, when we did various joint activities with projects. Actually, the main thing we're doing now is precisely on-chain activities, missions, and some on-chain joint marketing stories. Yes, exactly.
And roughly speaking, we can even invite someone else to this thing. So as I saw, on Mellow, I think, and somewhere else, they basically, this staking, restaking, when they take, for example, their Mellow, I think, right? And they basically combine, in short, they create a special pool and give their points. There are several such tabs, points from this, points from that, and you end up staking Ether in this pool. They restake it in Renzo there and somewhere else. And you get, a kind of medal from the current, from those, some points. And besides points, we have a real token that has liquidity and is on Uniswap, which is actually traded there. We also have your, houses, it turns out, or these points plus you, plus there's a community, and you can create a cool thing and even a set of someone, for example, there, Abracadabra, or how is it, Max? How are those guys called?
Kadabra, not Abra. Abracadabra was hacked.
Kadabra. Also a name like that, like Abracadabra was hacked.
Who told you that it would be hacked? They'll hack Abracadabra. It's good.
In short, invite more people to the company. Take and make a cool collaboration, like Bam Bam there, 2 or 3 cool projects that do something like that. We need to make a chat and just do it.
Yes. Well, besides that, we have a bunch of tools to use internally, meaning, well, you can create pools for holders, for traders. You can highlight partner tokens, show what's happening with them. So again, if you come up with an interesting story with an incentive to stake, then it can be done. This is the main type of activities we conduct. These are really deep activities with brainstorming, with research, very strong activities. For example, 60,000 people came to Stellar after the first activity. Even though there wasn't even a bridge, people had to bring XLM from an exchange. That's it. From the perspective of some on-chain things, it can be very...
So even roughly speaking, yes, you have a bridge. So if a token exists on Polygon, it can be added to the bridge and people will be able to buy it there.
Yes. People will immediately, for example, from their ton. Yes, if you are going on ton.
Well, you probably have BSC too, right? And VM, all that stuff.
Yes, there are many networks like Base, Arbitrum, almost all networks.
Well, that's cool. Do you know who we know, guys?
Ton, Kava, Solana.
You know them too. Iva, you probably know Boris. Did you do something with them?
We didn't do anything live. We communicated.
Yes, but they also have tokens, incentives. They also do this cross thing. We could even bring Boria here for a collaboration. They also have tokens, a cool thing with Curve, meaning Curve. They work like cross Curve. They're Aave. They have these cross bridges too. There's cross-chain liquidity. I don't know. They've already connected 200 million blockchains, how it works there. So you can make a really cool collaboration. Take Boria with his Aave's cross-chain thing, teach people to bridge, meaning come up with some kind of chain, right? And all of this as a marketing agency, maybe we can attract someone else. That is, if you work with tier 2 projects here and there, yes, you can. And it will be great, most importantly, for the community. So the projects will get some effect. They will gain community exchange. And for the community, which is currently stagnant, yes, everything seems stuck. So altcoins are completely stuck. We will organize some fun activity for them. And it will be great for everyone. So it's wonderful. But why didn't you talk about this earlier? You see, you came and no one knew. Now we learned from you that it turns out this can be done.
We should have watched because we weren't allowed to do it ourselves. We just lost the private key. If we hadn't lost it, we would have known about it. We would have come to Peter ourselves. But unfortunately, that happens. People lose seed phrases. Guys, write down your seed phrases. It's a huge problem, yes. Write down your seed phrases. I have another question, a hamster question. Can I ask a hamster question in the studio? The hamster question is as follows. The hamsters lost the name of the village, and the village avatar disappeared. It's impossible to restore it because they just suggest creating a new village and ditching this one. What should I do? Write to support. We have very, very friendly support. Well, there are several reasons. Possibly Telegram or you didn't understand how to set up access for the bot that updates this in the village. If it can't reach out at some point, it might fail. That's it. Or there were transfers of ownership in the village or other things. So writing to support is useful, especially if you haven't logged into the village for a long time. If you had some admins in the channels, they might have hijacked the village. We have had such cases. In general, the best way is to write to support. But in your case, you can write to Pasha, and he will fix it. We have a separate village support, generally for a fee. There are village, city support as well. And the city one, we have support for influencers, village support, support for users with a balance of more than $70, and support for everyone else. These are different people. They have different scripts. They are trained differently to provide service. So village support is a very, very high priority. So especially if you have a large village, you can write to us.
Our village is almost like a small city.
By the way, you probably fall into the civilization category already, right? Well, it's one of the last categories we have, yes. But we almost immediately reached this category. Our task was to annihilate everyone. And at one point, I lost the seed phrase. We were in first place. There were three. There was some Dr. Evil, and some Indian village. Well, it was impossible to take on the Indian one. They have 90,000 users, all their AULs gathered. It's impossible to annihilate them. Unfortunately, we were going with more quality audiences, but overall, it was fine. Yes. But again, 30 and 100,000, that's a lot. It means that the users didn't just come. They are really actively claiming all this time. So yes, you still have the total VD balance in the village. You can see when we added it. Again, if you haven't visited the village for a long time, it might take a while. When you open it a second time, everything will update to be more current, and all users will be reindexed. But overall, there. Plus, there are many local features in the village now. You can send out newsletters to the users of your village. You can set a status for them regarding any activity happening. For example, if you enter the village chat, there's a fire drop. And when people open mining, they will see at the top in the status that some activity is happening in your village. Oh, so I just entered to mine, took my turn, and there's also 0.25 in the chat. I'll go and see what's happening with them there. And you have some important announcement. So
That's cool.
yes, if you have a village, check out the settings there. You can engage your fellow villagers in various ways.
Well, we just lost the thread. At some point, we were just very immersed in it. And at some point, the biggest problem with all these hamsters, right? I mean, when the hamsters appeared, no, the first wasn't a hamster. The first was, what was it? 𝗗𝗜𝗦𝗘𝗥. Yes, 𝗗𝗃oin. Then there was hamster. Then, 𝗗𝗼hamster, Tamster, Famster. There were many of them, all those guys. By the way, you were one of the first. I remember 𝗗𝗏coin, hamster, and you. You were, I think, before the hamster.
For the hamster, we were the first.
Yes, well, we're very close with 𝗗𝗏coin. Yes. And when we even did reviews, I placed more emphasis on your product in the sense that it was real. Well, I mean, 𝗗𝗏coin was something ephemeral, right? Like that. But you had made real transactions and everything. Yes. The main, in short, problem with all these projects was that at some point there were so many that people just couldn't get in anymore. Well, like I have a tab with projects. There are 15 of them. And the interest was kind of getting lost. But actually, I feel, and I have this feeling, I might be wrong, that now people have kind of forgotten about the hamsters. Yes, forgotten about the nodes. And you seem to have the opportunity in this upcoming bull run to revive a large amount of user onboarding through friends. But you need to show them that there is real money in this, right?
Well, it all absolutely comes down to people's expectations. That is, after the 𝗗𝗏coin, they were very high, plus a bunch of pitfalls, and the pitfalls just killed them. That is, right now, with the positioning of it being something like in Telegram, where you can mine, there is a core audience that started mining there 6 months ago. And they have already gotten used to the wallet. They are doing something. But the motivation to invite people or to be invited by someone is very, very low. So we need to see what will happen in the next bull run. Overall, it seems that Telegram made a lot of mistakes in terms of how they built their mini app ecosystem there, and they significantly damaged this narrative. That is, moreover, people have blurred the line, thinking that everything happening in Telegram is just bots. They either won't get traction, or they'll be rejected, or they'll launch with a valuation of 2 million, and I'll be sold off, poured into a million other apps. Well, in short, the culture of both the developers who were doing the bull run isn't very high. And overall, Telegram didn't manage it very successfully. So far, there's no impression that there will be a sudden increase in people's interest, specifically in referrals from mini apps. For now, we're betting on significantly requalifying users with balances into users who have crypto. Yes, there is a specific nuance. That is, a lot of people onboarded for the first time. They have $20 on their balance, but still, it's a huge leap from those who just click a button and whose maximum action is to watch an ad or follow a link. If a person has money, they can participate in a huge number of activities. And in the next bull run, we will be able to conduct large activities with significantly larger amounts of money. As a result, we will grow, and the motivations with referrals will be linked to what you receive through various partner programs, such as allocations, early access to mempools of certain memes launched on launchpads, and the motivation for growth will be more legendary, focusing on the fact that when a person joins, they immediately understand, okay, I need to invest $50 here, set up these 2 networks, and stake here. That's it. I'm ready. And for now, I just want to get here as soon as possible.
Well, in any case, friends, you actually have every chance because, well, the product it really interests people. The onboarding is quite good. There are really no questions about that. The functionality in terms of the wallet convenience, how it looks, and the gamification, bridges, and teaching staking. So you have all the things related to, well, the wallet understanding, right? Those who use Trust Wallet know MetaMask, you have all these features. That's really cool. Therefore, we, frankly speaking, friends, wish you good luck on our part, as Slava mentioned, to make cool collaborations, especially since we have a huge, a huge number of tokens. Well, as I understand it, it's quite a lot. It's normal. We can do something, come up with ideas. Plus there's our DAO, plus our networking to create something truly interesting so that it's not about, making money, but about doing something cool to maybe gain a new audience. Well, things like that, so that everyone ends up having a great time. Let's have a chat. It will be great. Well, I suggest we slowly wrap up our podcast on this wonderful note. It's better if when we do some kind of incentive together, we record a second part, right? We'll present it, explain it, invite those who will participate in it. Maybe Boris or someone else.
We'll invite Pash.
Who will help us with the village?
Yes, we'll invite everyone, village support and all. Thank you so much. Well, you guys are doing great. Wishing you success. Awesome. Thank you for finding the time so early.
It was nice to chat.
Super. All right, guys, please, those who watched.
Max was going to say, the guys will give us a like, of course. Someone from San Francisco or somewhere, right? How does it feel over there right now? How long has it been? A couple of months with your crazy president? So, how is it there? Are there any changes? Anything in the air? Or has nothing much changed in crypto? Well, in crypto, it feels the same as in the rest of the world. Like, what the heck? Yeah. Regarding Trump, I had several conversations in the context of not believing. I mean, I talked to people who think he doesn't understand what he's doing. And everyone hopes that with the tariffs and everything else, he has a plan. But so far, no one feels any confidence. It just seems like complete anarchy. Yeah, I talked to some guys who were building a product for the IRS. You know, the IRS. It's the American tax system. Taxes are very well-known letters worldwide. Yeah, and they have a problem there with many people not paying taxes in the US. Under Biden, they had a working group, and they were running several pilots to track everything that was happening. Currently, over 80% of people who own crypto in the US don't track it at all. So they have missed out on $50 billion in crypto taxes over the past few years. It's a big issue, and they were working on it. Now Trump has come in, half of the staff were fired, and all the pilots have been put on hold. It feels like there will be complete anarchy. And basically, you can do anything for these 4 years. That's it. Because the previous administration was unfriendly to everything. They completely messed up with the SEC, closed cases against Ripple, against Coinbase, heavily funded the IRS. And if you're working on a project, potentially, you can do something, as regulations will change. In 5 years, you'll already have a big project and you'll be able to handle it. That's it. So on one hand, there is a very noticeable relaxation, which is felt through a bunch of stories around. But at the same time, globally, he is pursuing some very strange policies regarding trade wars and tariffs. I'm not an economist. Maybe there's some sense in it. That's it. But just as a person living here, it feels like something crazy is happening. That's it. Should we buy Bitcoin, hold Bitcoin? I'm buying near. If you want an insight, well, I'm buying near. I believe in near. And are the NEAR founders themselves already selling NEAR? You buy, they sell? Or when the exchange happens, they exit, right? And you're buying up basically on OTC. I don't know. Seems like I don't know. I don't know. Well, seems like not. Well, you clarify. Clarify. Because what's happening with Bitcoin right now and what Donald Trump is doing, you see, he's an old man. For him to remember all the other coins like NEAR. He sees this first one, Bitcoin, and well, he knows about Bitcoin. And now they're sweeping it up. And also Ethereum, he knows the second one, and they are buying Ethereum. And there, someone might throw them a hint somewhere. They take that, but they don't know anything else. And so the alt season, the thing is, you see, we were kind of questioning you, right? Well, you're buying NEAR. Alt season might be like this, or it might not happen at all. Maybe the Bitcoin season will continue. You have to be careful with this.
Friends, I want to tread lightly now. For Donald Trump, NEAR just means nearby.
Well, yeah.
No more, no less.
Translation and meaning?
Well, yes, it's like a subtle joke.
In general, that's it. On the other hand, how much is Solana now? Around 120, 130? NEAR is currently 2.5, 3. There you go. So if NEAR, what's the chance of seeing Solana at 300? I think that, for example, the chance to see NEAR back at 7 is like 5 times. So we are waiting for Polygon like that with Max. Yes. We would like to see Polygon at 3. It's an Indian project, very friendly with Vitalik, but friendship with Vitalik is a crappy friendship. He just pours into the glass, damn it, and then invests that billion into some Indians for COVID or somewhere else. Therefore, perhaps Polygon had a dangerous friendship and he subtly led them by the nose. And now Polygon is in trouble. If Vitalik dumps all his Polygon, if he has any, and finances something else, it will just be a fiasco, brother. Just like that. Maybe. But again, we work a lot, specifically with Tyron. I know a lot of what's happening inside. That's it. From this, I have some internal confidence that despite NEAR's very poor communication with the world about what they are building, they still have a lot of money and many very smart people inside who are creating cool things.
It sounds like a request, right? I just heard. Actually, we can help NEAR communicate with the world. And basically, for me, NEAR isn't such a bad coin, just for a moment. We can accept.
They have been communicating with the world for 3 years already. Unfortunately, they generally have difficulties with prioritizing things like communication with the world. That's it. But you see, there are moves. They have some stories that help with this a little. That's it. Understood. Yes, but I think it will happen. I really hope that the era of meme coins will end. I really hope that products with real utility will return. Because, well, meme coins are just a zero-sum game. Whereas here, at least something is developing, being built. And it's much more interesting to work with projects that are building something. I'm looking at Monad with great hope. That's it. But at some point, everything will be fine for us. When will that be? I don't know. Maybe in half a year. On this wonderful note, we will conclude. Someday everything will be fine. And when? Stay tuned for the second episode.
Friends, don't forget to like, ask questions in the comments section, and share this video with your friends. If you're in our, village. If you're in our village,
yes,
there are many of you. You will receive tokens.
I can help you do an airdrop for this video. If you do an airdrop from your village, we'll retweet it in hot drops.
Of course, we'll do it.
We'll figure it out and do it somehow. It's not a problem. We'll put a link. We just need to sort it out, and then we'll make a pinned comment there.
There will be some kind of password that can unlock it. If you enter it, you'll be able to claim the houses. Yes.
Well, then we'll do it.
Especially for the village residents. Yes.
And how many tokens are usually airdropped per person on average? For an airdrop, 0.25. That's the maximum. You can't go higher. Oh, that's the maximum. I thought it was 1 per person.
But that's a lot. I mean, just imagine how many people there are. Like 1 million people went through there.
No, well, here, you probably limit how much you can give.
You limit it. You say that I'm distributing 0.25 to 10,000 people. 2,500. Or like 0.1. Yes, 2,500 tokens. That's not so bad. It's manageable for you, especially now. If you haven't accessed your wallet for a year, you can do a lot of airdrops. Yes. Initially, the average calculation is such that the project can do airdrops for its community about once a week. There you go. So if you haven't logged in for a year, you kind of have a reserve of strength. And yes.
Well, we'll do it.
If we ask in the chat if something is unclear, first of all, we'll bring our village back. Village support will definitely be needed tomorrow, so we can sort this out. There you go. So village support, be ready. I'll get in touch with you. All right, let's wrap it up, friends. It was nice talking to you. Yes. Have a good day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.